Hello, greetings and salutations. This is a video about audio, and today we are going to be talking about a Tascam CD-RW900mkII professional CD recorder, mainly. The entire system, give you a quick overview. First, up top, we have a very lovely Audio-Technica. This is the LP W40WN turntable. I've already done a video about this. And hooked onto that turntable is a very lovely Audio-Technica VM530EN cartridge. One of the higher end Audio-Technica cartridges with the 0.3.7 nude stylus. Oh my god, it's nude! That just means it's a single chunk of diamond and not bonded to a shank. Okay, tucked up under the table here is a Pioneer A-10AE amplifier. Very nice indeed. Then the star of the show today. And then under here is a TAC AD500 CD player cassette combination. And we're here to talk about this one today. This is the star of the show. This particular machine, well, I didn't really set out to buy one. In case you missed my last video, I bought a TAC AD850, which is an update on this machine. It has a cassette deck in it and a CD player, and it will also play USB sticks with files on it. And my package got hijacked in shipment, and I didn't get it. And with the money I got back from Onkyo USA, I bought the CD recorder. Now, the idea here really was to get a good CD player. But when I saw this, I just couldn't resist. And this is an awesome CD player, but it also has the ability to actually record CDs. So we'll start over here on the left-hand side of the machine. And we have a power switch here, headphone level there, headphone jack 1/4 inch, and then we have the tray, and that pops right out like so. They had a version of this machine that had a slot loading system. I'm assuming that people didn't like that because they were advertising in this newer model here the feature of having the nice tray that was developed by TAC. Tascam, by the way, is the professional arm of TAC. So we have lots of buttons on the machine. Lots and lots of buttons. So we have open, close here. This is the menu. We'll get into that in a few minutes. We got repeat off and on here. And which one is that one? I can't see. I'm looking through the thing. Okay, so this is the escape key. It's in case you want to not do something, I guess. Display. So what that does is it causes it to go through the CD text on the CD, and as you go through the tracks here, you see that you can get it to show you what's on the track. Love is thicker than water. Barry Gibb, yes sir, absolutely. You also have several different time formats you can look at. You can look at remaining time, total time, all kinds of crazy stuff. Down here we have a jog wheel where you can make multiple selections. This is the finalize button. This is an erase button if you're using a CD-RW. These are seek, and also down here it's for entering CD text. Then we have stop, play, ready, which is the same as pause, and record. And then we have sync record, which means that the machine will wait for audio to start playing, and then it'll start recording, and you can adjust the threshold of that so that it's relatively, sensitive to whatever you're trying to record. And then over here, this is your input selector, and you have coaxial digital, optical digital through Toslink, and analog inputs on this machine. Up here, this is what happens when it wakes up. Do you want it to play or do you want it to record? These are your analog input trimmers so that you can calibrate the machine to an analog input source. And down here is a PS2 port for a keyboard. Now, I bought a keyboard to use with this machine, and for some reason or another, it didn't recognize it at all. So I just boxed it back up and sent it back. It could have been because I bought a weird keyboard. I bought the keyboard before I read the manual because I thought it would be really useful. But really, it's only useful for entering CD text. And the truth of the matter is I'm not going to be using it that way. There's no way. They give you a nice, big, thick manual with this machine. And you need to read this because this machine is very non-intuitive at first. Even if you're used to using professional audio equipment, you really need to read the book. But once you get your head wrapped around the logic of the way the machine works, then it becomes really easy to use. It also has lots of features like auto cue, which I have enabled on this machine, where that if I dial something up like a track like this, and then I hit the pause button, then what it will do is it will play the track until it finds the beginning of the audio, and then it stops. And this is reminiscent of a lot of broadcast players that I've used through the years. It does that. And so I have that kicked on. You don't have to have it on. It's got many different play modes. You can do single play and auto play, and it's all kinds of crazy stuff. We'll get into that here. Let me put a disc in here that doesn't have copyrighted material on it so that we can play with this and make sure that the input on the amplifier is set. Let's see, the top one is there. Yeah, that's right there. Turn the amplifier up. And there's no text on that disc. CD text is something that if you're not really familiar with it, it came along in the late 90s, and it was an addition to the CD format, and most record companies just flat out ignored it. They never used it. When I was making CDs all the time years ago with CD software, I kind of used it about half the time, I think. Most of the time I ignored it as well. Let's see, we can play a song here. So what I got to do is just, let's say we want to play track 2. And I just hit ready. And there it goes. You get the idea. It's very tight. So as it cues up there, you can see it cue. Boom, there you go. So that's pretty much the playback procedure, and you can program the machine. You can put it in single play where it'll play one song at a time if you want it to. Here's where the magic is. If you come over here and you press the menu key, you get lots of menus. So we can choose a play mode, right? Hold on, I gotta stop it. Well, you can't change a play mode while the disc is actually spinning, so that sucks. Let's see, play mode. We can do continuous. We can do single, or we can do programmed. Let's put it back on or random. Put it back on continuous, please. Go back to the menu. What can we set up with request? We can set up the digital volume here. Put that back on 0. Okay. Let's see what else we got. Press that. Rec menu. Fade in. We can set the time. Fade out. You can set the time for the fader. I'm not sure what SRC is right off the top of my head. Sync level, this is how loud something has to be before it starts to record. Right now it's set to -54, which is rather low. You could crank that up, let's say if you were doing it from records or tapes and you didn't want it to catch the noise. So you can change that. Let's see what else we have here. Automatic track. That uses the same thing to add another track when there's a pause for a while. And then you can also set the automatic track level. And then you have you could use a timer to create tracks automatically for the record menu there. Other menus that we have here. Let's look into system. Let's look in the system menu. Show you we got this is the kind of keyboard that you could have there. You could between Japanese and US. Play timer, record timer, turn the remote control off if you wanted to, fade presets. So, yeah. What else we got in the menu here that we can look at real quick? This is for editing text. So that's pretty much it. Now, what's really cool about this, and I've already made a couple of recordings, is that it has absolutely fantastic DAC in here. It's just unbelievable. For playback, it has a great DAC, and the ADC, analog to digital converter, is wonderful as well. What this machine will do is it will convert sample types. If you set it up to do that, you can set it to, like you could feed it 48 kilohertz, and then it will convert it to 44.1 and record it to a CD. You can also set this machine to go into a fast read mode, which basically like oversamples the CD. So if you have a CD that's being difficult to play for some reason or another, then you can change that speed, and it will basically reread it and reread it over and over again until it makes sure it gets the data. So that's pretty cool. I haven't had to use that. All my CDs are in pretty decent shape. Let's see, what else is there to tell you about this? It's really quite an amazing machine. It truly is. I was really shocked at how good it sounded. I am not using the digital inputs on this machine. I am using analog. I don't have a CD player right now that has digital outputs, but I don't care, because for what I'm doing, that's fine. I don't need to make a direct one-to-one copy. If I'm going to do that, like make a copy of a CD, I can do that on a computer. So I'm putting in a little CDR here to show you what it does when you put a blank disc in. This will record on standard CDRs, CDR audio. Like I had a Sony CD recorder many years ago that would only take the ones that said CD A music, right? This machine will record on just about anything you throw at it, including rewritable discs. It will make a Redbook standard CD, even on a rewritable disc. Now, whether that disc will play back in all CD players, who knows? And so as you can see here, it's, let's see, if I hit the time, it should tell me how much time I've got left on the disc. Well, I have to hit record, don't I? So if I hit, okay, this thing's going to screen. And it's checking its write speed, and let's see, let's check the time. So on this small disk, we have 23 minutes and 57 seconds available. And then I can just feed audio to it and record if I want to. I really don't want to record. I'm just showing that. You can play back what you've recorded before you finalize the disc, which is really nice. Let's go ahead and stop that. And go ahead and get that out of there. Give me my little disc. I want to save that for a special occasion. That's the last one that I got of that size. So let's talk a little bit about setting up your levels with this machine, because it's one of the things I really love about it. Let me grab a CD and throw it in this machine down here and start it playing, because we need some noise to feed into the. We're not going to hear it, but we need to see that. We want to see the meters move, right? Right. So I can explain a little bit about what I'd hate the fact that I can't play any real music for you guys. I would give you a direct feed and stuff like that, but I don't think I have anything on CD that sounds decent that is not going to trip YouTube's copyrights or whatever. So anyway, okay, so you can, let me put this on, which one do I want this on? I want that there, yes. All right, so let's start this to playing down here. Playing the CD. And then if I hit record, we should see the levels, and we do. Now, when you are setting up your levels for an analog input, I'll give you a pro tip. What you do is you leave your digital volume. Let's go get that. We want the record menu, and we want volume, yes. Put your digital volume on 0, all right? Now, take your output device, whatever you're feeding the machine with, and play the loudest thing that you can find on that device. Now, in the case of CDs, you can either have a test CD with a track on it that's got full-scale volume on it, or you can get one of those newer CDs where they've gone crazy and limited the hell out of it, and they've blasted it, so it's right up at 0 on those meters, okay? And then what you do is you use these analog input trimmers over here to set that to just under where the overload lights come on. Because if you overdrive this thing, it really doesn't like it. It's going to have overload lights that light. If you've never done digital recording before, it's not like tape where you can go a little bit over zero and you might get a tiny bit of kind of nice sounding distortion and a little bit of soft limiting. No. And with digital, it's liable to go snap, crackle, and pop and make square waves and be nasty. So what you do is you get the loudest thing that you can find on the output of the CD player that you're driving it with, and then you set that to where it just hits zero on those meters, but the overload lights do not come on. And now, as you go through your discs, you're adding tracks from different discs, you can use this to change the level. So if it's one of those really, really loud CDs, you don't want to do that at full blast. So you might want to pull that down 4 or 5 dB, right? And if it's a CD with some real dynamic range on it, then you might want to leave it in the middle. And then if it's a CD that, there you go, I got the overload lights going off for you. If it's a CD that is recorded particularly low, you'll want to crank it up, right? And whenever you go back to zero, what you have gone back to now is unity gain. So it's a one-to-one transfer at that point from this CD player to this CD player. You can do the same thing with the output from a turntable or a tape deck as well. Just play the loudest thing that you can find and set it where it doesn't distort, and then you know you will never overdrive the input to the DAC, and then use those digital levels there to kind of make things go back and forth. So this is a wonderful machine. Yeah, and if you have like a console you're driving with, like a little mixing board, maybe like one of those little Mackies, or one of those old Radio Shack DJ mixers, I really wouldn't want to create a CD with a bunch of hiss in the background from a cheap board like that. But if you're going to do it, I mean, you could just take one of the pots and slam it all the way up until the meters are just banging, till you know that you're distorting the machine, and you could do the same thing. And that way you know for sure you will never overdrive it, and then you can use the digital levels to fix that. As long as you can boost it enough, because that, well, yeah, you got plenty. So you got plus 18 dB there that you could boost that, and you'd be fine. And then you could make it so that your analog meters track about here. These are wonderful meters in this machine, by the way. Absolutely gorgeous meters. And that's about where you want it right there. That's a good volume, and that'll give you some room because, like I said, some modern CDs are just blasted, and some CDs are low if you have some of the older CDs from the 80s. So you want to have a little bit of room to work. You don't want to try and get everything at zero top end all the time. So why did I buy this machine? Well, mainly I wanted a player because I have a whole bunch of CDs, and the AD500 down here, which has been my main player for quite some time, it's getting a little long in the tooth. It's from 2004, and I've got a couple of other players stashed away. I have a Sharp that I really, really like from the 80s. It's problematic when playing CDs that are more than 74 minutes, though. If you try and play a track that starts after 74 minutes, it doesn't know what to do with it because it was before CDs were longer than that. I just want to make sure that I'm getting the best quality possible, and also that I can play my CDs and I can play the things that I have recorded. And the fact that it will record, that's just a little icing on the cake for me. This is the first CD that I recorded in it. This is a Sony CD audio, and I put a lot of jazz on here with a lot of dynamic range so I could really hear what it sounded like. And the next project is going to be to dump probably a bunch of 45s over to CD so I can listen to them, and just kind of make a couple of CDs full of 45s that I will dub directly from the turntable up here, which, by the way, has been a wonderful, wonderful machine. And yeah, you can make CDs on the computer. Yes, you can, absolutely. But this is more fun in that it's kind of a challenge, because if you make a mistake and you're using like a regular CDR, it's not a CD-RW, like this is a CDR. And if you screw up, you screwed up. You either have an unusable track, or you throw the disc away and start over. So it's a write once, read many device, a worm device, right? And that makes it a lot of fun. It's kind of a challenge. You have to kind of play all your stuff through, make sure your levels are okay, and get really ready before you hit the record button, and then be ready to hit stop. It's fun, And I think the sound quality is a bit better, especially with the excellent ADC and DAC that's in this machine, audio to digital converter, and the other way around. It just really sounds wonderful. Sometimes when you burn CDs on the computer, I mean, especially with fast burning and stuff like that, they don't come out sounding all that great. But this is a different story. And everything that I've heard about this has been positive. It is a professional machine. It is made to run for years, and it's made to take a lot of abuse, and it's certainly a lot of fun to work with. The outputs on the back are the analog inputs and outputs are just standard RCA pin connectors. There are no XLRs on this machine. And even though it's a professional machine and it's got the auto cue and the single play and everything on it, the one thing that they did not include was a wired remote on the back, so you could fire it off from a button on the console if you were using this in a radio station. But no complaints. Very interesting machine. Costs about $300. Well worth it. Very happy that I got me one. Thought I would wind it up out here just showing you why I have the CD players at all. Plus I have computers with optical drives in them. I've been collecting CDs since 1984. And I have some CDs that go that far back that still play. I have pretty much every CDR I've ever made. If you want to know how to store those so they don't fade, don't ever let light get to them. Either put them in a book or make sure they're on a shelf like this where no sunlight can get to them. So there's more over here. You can keep your damn downloads. I like having physical things to look at and play with. Every one of these discs has a memory attached to it. And I'm not letting them go anytime soon. And I don't think I could live long enough to rip them all in the computer. Most of them are already there anyway. I've got this huge digital music collection that I never listen to. So anyway, gang, that's it. Thank you for watching the video. I certainly do appreciate it. We'll be doing it again soon.